Hello, welcome back to my channel. I wanted to do a video on cheaters, and oh my god, I got spinach in my teeth. I was like, ew, my teeth look terrible. I do apologise. So cheaters, my thoughts and how I feel that I've healed from cheating. As someone that has also cheated in the past. So they do say karma slaps you on the ass when you don't want it to, and I'm a living proof of that. Oh, more food on my face, good to know. So anyway, I wanted to put a little biblical reference in there as well, but let's start with the fun stuff, which might make a bit of sense as well, which is that basically if you have been in a situation where you are around like a fuckboy, if you want to call it that, or just a person that you might, obviously no one's going to go into a situation where they know they're going to be cheated on, because that would be stupid, but you might go into a situation with red flags because you just mainly for the point of you don't want to get married. You think, I want to be on my toes, I want to be like this, I'm gonna be like as raw as I can because this is what healed me when people were being honest about it. This girl was saying how you want to be treated like shit because in some way that sends your psyche into a place of test. It sort of is like, how much can I deal with of someone being an asshole to me? And that sounds so weird, and I would never think about it like that, but it's just true. Like, this is why people get in relationships with people that are shit, because they got to kind of learn from it, or like come to some sort of like boundary in their head until they just won't deal with it anymore. And that's definitely the case for me. Obviously I didn't know I was being cheated on, really. I still to this day I've never got a concrete answer. Actually I think I have, but it's a case of like I didn't really care because I didn't really value them in that relationship sense. We weren't at times in a relationship, but it's these people that, well, the thing is, I do think people can change in terms of cheating, because I have cheated in the past and I'm not proud of it, and it was cheating is cheating at the end of the day. I was in a situation where I cheated and I felt horribly about it. But it took me to see the impact on someone else to learn never to do it again, and I would never do it again. The rule of cheating is, if you're cheating, break up with someone and then get with someone else. If you have feelings for someone else, you can't change when the spark runs out between people. If you've lost feelings, whatever, break up with the person. Do not pursue something for someone else while you're still in a relationship. That is my rule. Quite an obvious rule, but something that I allowed myself to deter from, and that was stupid. So this is my karma. But at the end of the day, apparently men as well, they cheat with uglier girls. Girl said, whether it's like an actual thing that people do that, or whether, you know, it's just a potential idea. I've noticed this, to be honest, it's like a bit of a rule. Whether it's ugly on the inside or the outside, obviously everyone's beautiful in different ways, inside and outside, but the person that I know it happened with, I wasn't really like threatened in that way, because the thing about cheaters obviously as well is they usually don't really care about maintaining a real relationship, at least with any of the people. It can happen that people cheat and then they get with that person and then that's their long-term partner. I've seen that happen, but it's often not the case, especially with fuckboys, in terms of they don't really give a fuck what it is, they just want to screw it. And basically usually someone they go for is less valuable than you because they feel inadequate for you, so they kind of go for someone that's like not as good. But in your perspective, because obviously everyone's got their good and downsides, but to me, I was not threatened in any sense by the people that he was going for, so that's interesting. I definitely think dissatisfaction in a relationship is a reason for deterrence of cheating, because you might not, well, just problems in a relationship, that can be a reason. Apparently men between 40 and 50 are at the biggest, 50 and 60, sort of middle old age men are at highest risk of this cheating stuff. apparently, but definitely happens along other age groups as well. And like, I don't know, it's definitely developed this sense of pity I have for like their friends, because the way I was treated by them, they always say that in a narcissistic sense, that once they lose someone to abuse, they'll find someone else to abuse. But that, because people, there's a relationship psychopaths in that some people will go around looking for a relationship so they can sort of inflict harm upon those people. But if they can't do that, surely they'll do it to a friend, and if they don't do it to a friend, I honestly don't know. People do evolve. But I think, you know, good luck to that friend. And for God's sake, good luck to the next girl. Fucking hell. So, from a narcissistic sense, and people talking about narcissistic abuse, they always say we're better off just not looking for revenge or even like justice from that situation in terms of how the person's treating you or how other people perceive you in that situation, because it's a typical narcissistic thing when you're discarded after abuse and relationship abuse and cheating is a form of abuse at the end of the day, because it's breaking trust and harming another person. So once they've done that, they'll sort of lie to other people about the situation. They might say, even if they did come clear to the other people about the fact they cheated, they might just be like, oh, that person didn't treat me right, they cheated on me first. They could downright lie and say, oh, they cheated on me first. Or it could just be a case of they just, I don't know, they could say anything, but they won't want to look bad in front of other people, so they'll just say something that makes themselves sound good, which is sad in itself. And karma will come around to slap them on the ass at some point. Or maybe it already has. Who knows? But we also know that obviously with narcissists and stuff, there's no empathy there for other people. And yeah, they will twist the situation to look like you have been the bad person in it. And the thing is, it's so common for people to experience this. So many women, apparently, that I've even seen videos of, have had this happen. And even in this podcast I looked at, of people having this happen, where things like, I'm going to go into the hard shit, even though it has helped me heal. So it's like men that just don't, like, aren't satiated by one woman. Like, they'll have like Snapchats and they'll be Snapchatting other women, and that's okay, other women. They will be on social media like Instagram, whatever, they'll be like DMing other women, and then, or they'll be texting other women and they'll delete loads of their messages so they're not really seen. And they'll try and maintain this like facade of a relationship, which is a joke anyway, to be honest, because relationships are supposed to be based on like mutual respect and trust, which obviously that doesn't exist, at least on their end, or on the other person's end. They're just not aware of it. So they're trying to keep up this like facade of a relationship for some reason, probably to make themselves look good. If that person's perceived as, you know, good quality, or it's going to make them look good, they'll sort of hold up that facade of a relationship or some sort of, you know, relationship dynamic, whilst simultaneously, you know, texting other people, flirting with other people. For me, it was a case of like, it was even not necessarily when I was there, I don't know, just they were very chatty, and they'd kind of be like, oh, I'm just a very chatty social person. That's understandable, I'm a chatty social person. But it's a case of like, that aside, that's not something, we're talking about cold hard facts here. There's like micro cheating, which it was a case of like, it would just be like, he'd just like want other girls to like look at him like all the time. Like he used to say, like when I was walking around with him, he'd have this like delusional mindset and be like, other men keep looking at you, like, and he was serious. I think he was serious. Like it was a case of like, he was trying to be sociopathic. I'm going to go and just touch on a bit of a Bible reference here as well, and then I'm going to go back to specific references, which was that when I spoke to him, I noticed he had like traits of like looking at the Bible. I'm not here to judge, but from what I could perceive, he was like a bit of a Judas in that, like, he just like would like betray people. He would always chat shit to me about his friends. Like, he like dropped loads of his friends because he was like, oh, they're a psycho or whatever. And I'd seen enough traits in him at this point to see that he was a psycho and his friends weren't, at least the ones that I could see. It's like he literally deluded himself into thinking his ways were like their ways, and then he like ditched those good people, so that's his loss really. Because he was psychopathic enough to, and like delusional enough to actually put that on someone else. Then I saw traits of like, and there's this Jezebel spirit trait in that you have this, like, the Jezebel spirit is basically about wanting to dominate. There's like a strong sexual connotation from it. She worshipped false gods and stuff, but it's a case of like, I sense this like sociopathic, he's definitely like a sociopath, but his nature in that was to, I think part of the cheating was to like dominate the situation and sort of like destroy me in some way, or have like leverage over me. And they say that about narcissists, they try and shock, that's part of their ability to like reel back in like their supply. It's to like shock someone, and then they kind of like get loads of supply from the shock and the aftermath it takes to like heal from that. And the thing about narcissists as well is there's this guy in the Bible called Er, which basically refers to this man that was always wanting more, hence the name Er. He wanted it to be better. You know, he might want you to be prettier, more caring, more whatever, understanding, or if that's a word, it's not really, but I just got a sense of that from him as well. Just the thing about narcissists as well, they're never like satisfied, and if they are, I would question, like, sometimes they say that things can be too good, where like they might be putting up a good front even to you, but it doesn't mean you don't know, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And this is why it does wound people, because it gives them a sense of like, I don't really know what to believe. And if you're I think I was quite a naive person before this experience, to be honest. I don't think I ever really used to think about other people's ulterior motives very often, unless it was quite clear in their behaviour. I never really just dealt with people that I didn't like or I thought were weird, so I just kind of like let that go. But at the same time, I just would kind of like get them out of my radar because I don't really give a fuck. But at the same time, this kind of tested me to actually look at other people's ulterior motives before I even like digested them properly. And obviously you can't always sense someone's ulterior motives before you actually get to know them. So yeah, that's really most of what I was going to say, to be honest. But if someone is cheating, as I say, it is abuse, and like it's so common, like the fact, like, some people like don't actually, the fact is, no, like, people don't have a clear vision of what love is. And from someone that's actually cheated in the past, I can relate to this in a sense, which is that when you have trauma, it's not an excuse, when you have trauma, when you have if you have poor understanding of love in general, and you might have poor assertiveness, etc., from abuse and things like that, you might just not know where the boundaries are for normal people. And to be fair, loads of boundaries are different with different people. We all have different boundaries. But the fact is, it can really affect someone because it's easy to take things too much to yourself. And I've definitely had that to someone else. I've done that because it kind of shatters sometimes without even realising because I always thought I was a really good partner, and I still do. But it's like, it can take away a part of what you thought was your skills as a partner because you have had that happen. So it's so common, like, people who do this are everywhere. Women do it too. I'm one of them. But it's not an excuse. The karma will slap them on the ass and has slapped me on the ass. It's not healthy. I wanted to talk more about the actual things that people have happen, but something is stopping me from doing it. But it's just so common, people that use social media or they do it in real time. The fact is, if someone doesn't know what love is, and the fact is people aren't compatible, they will not take it seriously and cheat, and that's not your fault. So I've done this to someone else, and I know it shattered them because they had this real sense of like loyalty, which I now see how bad it was for me to have done it, and I knew that it affected them in a poor way anyway, but this is my karma to understand fully, or to the extent that I can see, that it was not constructive by any means, and very detrimental for that person to have had this happen. And it can shatter a person because it's not their fault. If you get cheated on, it's the other person's fault. It's their responsibility, everything. But unfortunately, you kind of inflict that upon someone else as well, especially if you have a hard time healing from it, which is normal. It's just a real break in trust, because we have this intrinsic lizard brain core need for love and trust and stuff like that, and it's so deceptive and demonic when people sort of undermine that, and they kind of build that trust to then shatter it and shatter parts of you that were connected to that. It's cheating doesn't just break one person side of it, it completely affects the other one, and that's the whole part of a relationship. And it's not just the person, the relationship it affects, it's the person in general and all areas of that person's life. Abuse aside, I want to just stay on cheating here, but the chances are that the way they treated the person wasn't very good if they were cheating, and as I said, if it was, it could be for ulterior motives, so I would question that. And often people that are cheated on don't even know about it. It was definitely hidden from me for a good while at various points, and that's not a trustworthy person anyway. One thing I did when I was cheating, at least it wasn't good, but I did mainly tell a person straight after it happened, but then I didn't at another point because I was told really bad advice. I've lived and I've learned, and I hope this person lives and learns, because it's extremely detrimental. It's karmically bad for them. They'll get extremely bad karma from it. And it's just not the person's fault, and it's their other person's psychopathic traits and broken internal world that has caused it. It's not the person, it's not the fact they had a relationship, it's the fact that person Judased them out of it and betrayed the other person's trust. That's their betrayal, not the person who it happened to's fault, and it's nothing that they did. I like to stay with the idea that everything happens for a reason. It'll give you huge amounts of discernment for the future. I've already learned a lot of lessons from it, so there we go. I'm going to stop rambling now. Thanks for listening, bye.